girls tells me how he hired John McDonald. You see, John McDonald was a high school coach at Greenland High School. And Greenland's right next to Fayetteville. And he's out there coaching, you know, and all of a sudden he sees John McDonald running his cross-country team, and he's leading the freaking pack. Every day is John McDonald running with his athletes. He's not on a bike. He's not in the car yelling at him. He's out there running with him. And he watched that for a couple years, and he said, I'm just going to hire the guy. I'm not interviewing anybody else. I like what he does. I'm going to hire him. It took him about 10 years, and then he won 42 national titles, the most of any coach in any sport. I know some of the guys that have run for him. John McDonald doesn't make him do track only. He doesn't treat him like a piece of meat, okay? And I'm not saying he do, but there are some that do, okay? And he lets them have that diversity because, you know, you can't really go pro track and make $1 gazillion. And you can't really go pro wrestling and make $1 gazillion. The other's Anson Dorrance in North Carolina. I've been to soccer camps 7 times. Okay? I go to coaching camps, know him well, read his books, etc. He only practices his girls an hour and a half a day. Unbelievable. He can say, but he recruits the best girls in the world. That's why he's winning. He started that program from scratch. There was no program. It's only been around 31 years. He won 20 national titles. That's pretty good. He and Dean Smith are great buddies. He went to Dean Smith's practices, and he copied what Dean Smith did. Dean Smith had a manager keeping track of every single free throw shot in practice. Every shot. So then in practice, they'd know, you know, when the guys are shooting 25 and 10, they tracked every day how much they shot. If they played a scrimmage, they had everybody's shooting percentages. And so Anson realized that coaching girls was very difficult because girls don't like to compete with each other. He would say, if you throw a basketball on the floor and there's 2 guys in there, pretty soon one of the guys will go, hey, you want to go one-on-one? The girls will grab the ball and say, hey, you want to pass it to each other? You take a shot, and I'll take a shot. And so he couldn't get his girls to compete. The reason he wins is he figured out how to make them compete. So what he did is he took Dean Smith's list, and he went to soccer practice. He said, we're going to play one-on-one, let's go, and we're going to keep track of whether you won or lost that game every day practice. And he posted each week how the girls ranked on every one of their girls. And those girls, they didn't want to compete with each other, but by God, when they saw their name at the bottom of the list, they didn't like it. Okay? He said that Christine Lilly, I think we've probably all heard of her, never, ever won one-on-one match her freshman year. He said by the time she was a senior, she never lost one. He said somewhere between freshman year and senior year, she learned to compete. But what I love is he goes, it's an hour and a half. If I can't get it done in an hour and a half, then I'm not a good coach. He even gives them 5 minutes at the beginning, because he coaches girls, not guys, where he sends them to the corner of the field, and they just sit there and stretch and talk. He goes, girls, if they have no relationship, they can't play. They have to sit there and talk and feel each other out and like each other. If they don't like each other, they won't pass them the ball, they won't do the other stuff. Now, guys are different. If I don't like you, but we want to win, I'll give you the damn ball, right? Okay? Well, but you know what? Wouldn't relationships better? Didn't you say you wanted to build a team this year where your guys are tight? Well, you got to put those principles into place. So the first thing I want to do is tell you philosophy. I believe if you let your kids join a fraternity or sorority with some ground rules like you better be eligible, you know, you better make sure you're at practice. You're not going to be up till 3 in the morning. I'm on the board at my old college, so I know a lot about this. The college president, when she came to see me to ask me for money, I looked her right in the eye, and I said, I will not give this college another penny to be fixed the fraternity and sorority system. And that got her attention. She went back, she got one of her VPs, they called me up there, we had a meeting, and what happened was the football coach, who's a friend of mine, got pissed because a couple guys weren't eligible because they didn't make grades, because they were pledging, and he shut down all pledging for like 5-6 years, and it killed the fraternity system. I offered him $1,000 per pledge. Every guy that pledges, I'll donate $1,000 to the football program. But he wasn't interested. He couldn't be bought. He basically said, you got to show me that these kids will have better grades while they're pledging. So we went to all the fraternities and said, hey, we're going to make sure they go up. And if you don't do that, fraternities are going to die. Okay? And I told him, I said, Coach Cole, weren't you a T? Yeah, I was. And how many people do you have coming to your football games? They don't have near the participation that they used to have. Because they got nobody involved. The whole football team's sitting right over here on an island, and they don't mix with the rest of the college. Because somebody, actually his assistant, who I like very much, played pro football, played for Michigan State, John Leister, we got some Michigan State guys. Leister played football and baseball, and he played in the big-time programs, and he didn't need a fraternity. He was God's gift when he walked on campus. He didn't need to meet anybody. But we're not at Michigan State, and when we don't have a bunch of kids that are God's gift, we have a bunch of kids that need relationships. Well, the reality is, Whitley back here probably can't name any of your wrestlers. He doesn't know. I can name some of them. Okay? But the reality is, these are kids. If you'll do the right thing, I believe, you'll develop a better program. You'll have more people involved. Okay? So here's how I would do it. Okay? Each assistant, I would assign media, TV, college paper, or local paper. I would say, that is your baby. You're going to go develop a relationship with the college newspaper, and you're going to make sure we get that stuff turned into them every time. You're going to invite them to our practices. You're going to invite them to our matches. You may put them right there on the end of the bench. As long as they behave, we'll let them be there. Invite them in for a pregame speech. Invite them in for a postgame speech. If you're yelling and cussing and throwing stuff against the walls and you don't want them to see that, you probably shouldn't be doing it anyway. Okay, now I'm a hard ass. As hard ass as anybody. But I don't think my wrestler's going to do better by me throwing something at him against the wall. I have to say I haven't done stupid stuff, but bring the media in and keep me from doing stupid stuff. Okay? Coaches must eat in the school cafeteria twice a week. Okay? The head coach, the assistant coach, has to go in there and eat. And you can't go eat together. You've got to go eat at a table with the students. Hey, how you doing? What you doing? Well, they'll get to know you, and they'll be coming to your wrestling matches. My dad was a college president, so I know a little bit about colleges. He ate in the cafeteria a minimum 2 to 3 times a week with the students. When I talked to students who were there during his tenure, they said, I loved your dad. He was the only president that ever just come sit and talk to us. When you guys were in college, did you know who your president was? Did he come sit and eat lunch with you? Would you like him better if he did? Would you be more likely to donate back to the school if you knew that college president, he was asking for money? Didn't you think that college president was the coolest guy on campus? I got along really well with my college president because my dad became one when I was a sophomore in high school. And when I saw that college president, I was like, man, that's like my dad. He ain't nothing. Hey man, what's up, Oscar? I used to call him Oscar. He said, what's up, Oscar? He loved it because everybody else was, hi, Dr. Remick, how are you doing? I mean, hey, he don't want to be talked to like that. And I knew it. I kind of had the inside advantage. Well, they may be scared of you. You're a tough wrestler, etc. What can you do to develop the total person you're wrestling? I would believe that a smart wrestler who learns things in other arenas would be a better wrestler. They were talking at lunch today, the guy who played, one of the problems is we specialize in a sport too early as kids. So we start wrestling at 5, that's all we did. Well, we never ran a cross-country race or ran a 100-yard dash or had to hit a baseball and strike out with the bases loaded. So we didn't learn that pressure. We didn't learn how to run through that stomach when we felt like we were throwing up. All those things can come into mental toughness later. Okay. I've been to many pregame talks for basketball for my daughter. Some of these schools, what they'll do is especially when she's being recruited, right before the game, probably the best I ever saw was at SMU. I mean, we're talking 2 minutes before the game, they serve all their booster people that have donated money and they're supporting the program. They serve you a nice dinner. I think that day it was like tacos and enchiladas or something. And 2 minutes before, literally, here comes in the head coach. She goes, I'm going to tell you what's going on tonight. So-and-so, the post player is injured. We're going to go at him. Okay, I'm going to be getting the ball to this ball, blah, and those guys are listening. And then she literally charges right out of the floor where the players are waiting. And you feel special. You got the inside scoop. Now, imagine I'm a wrestling fan. If John Smith calls me right now and says, Greg, give me $15,000 and I'll put you have unlimited access. You can go in for my pregame talk and my postgame talk. He can get kind of fiery afterwards. He's never let me in afterwards. Okay? But I want to be in there afterwards. And you can sit on the bench as long as you behave. I'll give him $15 grand. Because that's something I can't get. I can't buy. right now. Now, recently we went to the Iowa Open State match last year, and Pat was going, man, we got to go to this match, Greg. We got to fly up there, etc. I said, I'm not going unless John puts us on the bench. I don't want to go. So he called Johnny, goes, you'll be on the bench, you're sitting right next to him. So I went, I got to see the colorful fireworks when somebody lost and they went like this, and they did, and Johnny grabbed me and said, I mean, that's what I want to see. I mean, I've already seen enough matches, I want to know what's going on behind the scenes. Well, at your program, there is a booster. I don't know who he is, who will give you 10 or 15,000, which would change your program if you'll get to know him and you'll treat him as part of the team. One thing businessmen miss, you guys get to go compete every day. The thing I miss the most about not being an athlete, I don't get to compete. I compete with a bunch of weenies every day. That's my insurance service. I mean, I really do. I compete with weenies, okay? They don't have any chance, okay, against us. I'm serious, they don't. Now, if I was competing against you guys are warriors. You might do whatever it takes. You're insane. You're out of the box. You're nuts, okay? But I would like to get back on the sports field. Okay? So if you would invite me into your locker room and let me be involved, that would change my funding. Every day a businessman gets asked for money. I want to give it to someone where I get some. Don't you like to get a little something out of it? Every one of you should take that suggestion, go back, check with compliance, make sure it's okay. And you should have 2 or 3 of those guys, and they're a little spot for them on the bench. And then they will be so fired up and they'll keep doing that. And then you should have other levels so they can work their way up. But wait, you're paid to win. Okay, so you don't, all this stuff I'm giving you, it all gets back to winning. If I just win, it'll take care of itself. Well, I'm just saying that all those things will help you. I believe they will. That's why you have to get your philosophy first. In my book, we have philosophy of outrageous service, and then we have tools for outrageous service, etc. What about a guy who donates money and he gets to sit? Here's all the different things. Locker room pass, sit on the bench, watch the pregame warm-up. Like when I go up on state, I go back in the room and I watch. It's kind of funny because Missouri's been there, and you know what it means. You've been in John Smith's room, and you got Missouri in the room, and you got Oklahoma State in the room, and they're all running, and they're getting warmed up, and they're making weight, and they're looking nasty at each other, and it's so dang quiet. And I mean, that's my favorite part. The hell with the match. They were sitting back there and they're eyeballing each other, and then the coaches are nervous and sweaty. I mean, that's what it's all about. Okay? So I would pay big money for that. Now, what about a guy that each one of your home tools, he's the guy that the announcer says at 133 pounds tonight, or 126 is blah, 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 and you're the guy that slaps 5 with them as they run out there, to shed cans, okay? There's a donor spot. If you have somebody that's going to ask the guy to be there. Even better yet, what if you asked your vice president or your English professor or the person who runs the Blooming cafeteria? I mean, every one of those spots should be filled every single time. And then all of a sudden, you start going with man-days, and you do it a little bit at a time. Some of you would say, well, if I have that dinner before, there'll only be 3 people in it. If there's 3 people in it, go sit at the table with them and tell them what's going to happen. The next time there'll be 6. And the next time there'll be 10. Before long, you'll have to be behind the podium. Us old guys, we want to be part of the team. Do you have a rowdy student section? You should have a section in the stands that says rowdy students. You should have another section that says Greek, okay, all the fraternities and sororities. You should have a ladies' night of all the things you guys have missed. You could have a ladies' night. Ladies, get in free. Let's get all the women out to watch wrestling. You could have a Greek night. If you wear your letters, you get in free, okay? So there are a zillion ways to do it. You've got fraternities down there in Washington, right? Yep. I mean, we need to have a Greek night. It's free, okay? You'll make your money on the concessions. Pizza night, poster night, wrestlers autograph night. Watch your girls' basketball programs. I've seen a zillion. Every year, at one point, they have them all out there. I'm sure you do it the rest of the world. Bring your shoes and they'll sign the rest of the year. They probably do it in Missouri. Do you do that? Okay? But you may not at a Division III school. Why not? My 9-year-old kid that comes to your